In Konoha the opening game plays as Jikuni Yuanichi Chapter 326-350. Chapter 326. Great Elder, is there such a beautiful female ninja in Star Ninja Village? I am a little unfamiliar with her, why haven't I seen such a ninja? The third elder Deslai was surprised. The great elder duo Rimmon shook his head. I don't know, but I think this woman is extraordinary. I can't judge her strength. Could she be an outer ninja? Several people could only guess like this. It must be because Shari has not been in the village for a while, so these people have not heard of Shari's name. Ha ha ha. After learning that Shari is an outer ninja, Long Zan laughed. Generally, outer ninjas are not well known by others. It can be said that their strength is quite weak and they are the bottom of the ninja village. So, when Long Zan learned that Shari's strength was only below that of a Chunin, he couldn't help laughing. Ha ha. I thought she was so powerful, but a mere outer ninja is so arrogant. She dares to challenge on stage. She doesn't even look at the strength of Long Zan, the great ninja of Sound Village. Is this beauty a fool? Is she going to die on stage? Ha ha, it seems that there is really no one left in Star Ninja Village. Even an outer ninja comes up to challenge, aren't you afraid of being laughed at? There was a burst of laughter under the ring. Outer ninja. She is actually an outer ninja. The ninja of Star Ninja Village was shocked. If so, the beauty will lose. But after hearing the conversation of these people, Hitaki Kusuo, who was standing aside, just shook his head slightly. Not to mention these people in front of him, even if he met the amnesty, Shari might not lose to Orochimaru now. If you don't accept it, just follow me now. After hearing what these people said, Shari immediately picked up the shuriken in his hand. Kusuo Hitaki was just standing on a tree not far away, and he did not appear next to Shari at close range. Although there was no help from Kusuo Hitaki, Shari was not afraid. Alas! This time, the ninja village is going to make a fool of itself. An outer ninja can never beat Long Zan. The ninjas of the Star Ninja Village thought they had hope, but when Shari revealed his identity, they were all disappointed. Only the great elder of the Star Ninja Village, Tamon, looked solemn. No. Tamon shook his head. What's wrong? The third elder asked. If she was just an outer ninja, she would never have the ability to fly, let alone use spiritual power to transform objects. Her strength should be above the Jindan realm. However, no one noticed this. After hearing this, the third elder was even more shocked. Could it be that the forehead protector is fake? Duo Rimmon shook his head. The forehead protector is real, but her identity is a little suspicious. Let's wait and see. Shari didn't care about the reactions of the crowd, but her face was extremely confident. Let's start. After this fight, I have to go back to sleep. Shari yawned, with a frivolous attitude, and there was no respect for the opponent at all. Big brother, she is too arrogant, fuck her. Yes, fuck her. Let her taste the power of your diamond claws. Fuck her. Under the stage, I cut my nails into shape. I was walking on the road yesterday. The gate ninjas of the Sound Village shouted one after another. The tone was full of teasing. Big brother, fuck her and take her back as a concubine. A ninja under the stage even stood up and shouted loudly. Girl, I won't be polite to you. I'm a bit ruthless. I like to grab women randomly, especially beauties like you. You'd better hold on. After saying that, Long Zan directly stuck the long sword into the ground, with a wicked smile on his face. Then, he arched his palm into a claw and quickly attacked Shari. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Claws were flying all over the sky, and the wind was blowing, not giving Shari any chance to fight back. At the beginning, Long Zan's momentum prevailed. However, Shari was not afraid at all. He stood firmly in place, as if waiting for the opponent to attack first. After what happened just now, Shari could already conclude that the opponent should use close-range physical skills. At this moment, Shari was not worried about the moves used by the opponent, but was thinking about which type of ninjutsu he should practice first. Why doesn't this beauty make a move? Haha, she must have been scared silly and didn't know how to make a move for a while. With this little strength, she was scared silly at the beginning. And she still had the nerve to come up and challenge. The audience laughed at him. You should make a move. The opponent has already attacked. Hurry up and dodge. The ninjas of the Star Ninja Village shouted anxiously. Ha! Ah! However, in the next second, Long Zan screamed. Before everyone could react, Long Zan covered his lower body, bent into a shrimp shape in pain, and then fell to the ground and fainted. The whole process took 1 second. Before everyone could see what was happening, Long Zan had been knocked to the ground by Shari. When Shari attacked, the opponent usually couldn't last more than 2 seconds. And when Shari attacked just now, he didn't even make a seal with his hands. Chapter 327. He attacked so quickly and so quickly. I haven't fought for a long time, my movements are a little slow. Alas. Shari shook his head and sighed helplessly. Hiss. Everyone widened their eyes in shock and gasped. Staring at the stage in amazement. What's going on? Long Zan fell down so quickly. No way, I haven't seen what's going on yet. What happened? How could Long Zan fall down so quickly? It's incredible. This beauty is so strong. What realm is she in? Isn't she an outer ninja? How can she be so strong? Half a minute passed, and everyone was still confused. However, now they finally know that Shari is not as weak as they imagined. This is impossible. The elders of the Sound Village were a little restless. They were shocked by Shari's strength. Wow! She knocked Long Zan down with one move. This strength. So powerful. Is she really an outer ninja of our Star Ninja Village? How can she be so strong? Awesome. Our ninja village is actually full of hidden talents. There is a peerless master hidden in the outer gate, and she is also a beauty. The ninjas of the Star Ninja Village were surprised. I thought she was a weakling, but she turned out to be a strong one. Ha ha. Seeing this, the third elder laughed excitedly. It seems that the Sound Village is just like this. The third elder Deslai took the opportunity to laugh at the Sound Village. HMPH. What's there to be proud of? She just played dirty tricks, otherwise, she couldn't win. The great elder of the Sound Village, Huo Tian, snorted in dissatisfaction. Yeah, playing dirty tricks, what's the point of it? Did the Star Ninja Village rely on playing dirty tricks to squeeze to the top of the Ninja Village? The Star Ninja Village is despicable and shameless. In order to win, they dare to use any means, shameful. The ninjas of the Sound Village shouted one after another. Dirty tricks. Just when the Star Ninja Village didn't know how to respond, Shari suddenly spoke. What I used was just an ordinary martial arts. Besides, there is no such thing as dirty tricks in the ring. As long as you can win, it is the best martial arts. Then, Shari sneered disdainfully. Besides, I only used a little bit of my strength. Who knew that the great ninja of your Sound Village was so weak? Hurry up and carry the body of your eldest brother away. Then, the ninjas of the Sound Village hurried onto the stage and carried the embarrassed Long Zan away. Yes, you are right. There is no rule in the competition that you cannot use dirty tricks. If you win, it is a good trick. That's right, the Sound Village lost, so it lost. If you are not convinced, you will find all kinds of excuses. It is clear that you can't afford to lose. The ninjas of the Star Village echoed one after another. At this time, the faces of the ninjas and elders of the Sound Village were very ugly, and they didn't know what to say for a while. Don't be so arrogant, I'm here to fight you. Just then, among the Otogakur ninjas, a bearded man rushed to the ring with a big knife, stepping on human heads. I am the second ninja of Otogakur. Although my strength is not as good as my senior brother lost to you because he was careless. But I won't be so careless. Girl, if you beat me today, I am willing to give you 100-year-old spiritual cultivation herbs. Of course, if you lose to me, you have to apologize to our Otogakur. As soon as Otogakur finished speaking, the ninjas of Star Ninja Village became angry. Why apologize? Our Star Ninja Village is not wrong. That's right, this is simply too much. Who cares about his 10 spiritual cultivation herbs? 0 Please give flowers. Don't agree to him. The voices of the Star Ninja Village ninjas were suppressed. Okay. However, Shari nodded and agreed with a smile. Ah. This made Xing Ren the village ninjas sighed helplessly. Very good, straightforward. Girl, what's your last name? I don't like to mention my name to strangers. Shari shook her head, then, she raised her lips slightly and said lightly, but others have given me a good nickname, they all call me Xingying. Plop. Before Shari finished speaking, Long Zan staggered in fear and sat on the ground. What? Everyone was shocked. You are the legendary Xingying. Aishide's face changed drastically, and his whole body trembled. Almost the same. Hiss. Suddenly, the whole audience was silent, and everyone took a breath of cold air. Then, the whole audience was boiling like a frying pan. What? He is Xingying. How can this be? This is unlikely. I don't believe that this beautiful woman is the legendary Xingying. That's right, why doesn't Xingying stay in her own village and actually wander around? Everyone couldn't sit still. Impossible. At this time, the elder of the Sound Village stood up. But even so, Shari didn't mean to back down at all. I'll give you one last chance today. Let these people go and close this place. Otherwise, none of you can leave. Chapter 328. Xingying, in terms of strength, is invincible in Xingnan village. I've met him once before. He always comes and goes without a trace. He never shows up casually, let alone talks so much. Besides, how could Xingying be a ninja from Xingnan village? What's more, you are an outer ninja. You are clearly lying. Are you trying to scare the ninjas from Sound Village? Aishide didn't believe Shari's words at all. Shari was silent. The person he was talking about was the previous Xingying. He was just wearing a veil last time, you didn't see his face clearly. 877. Shari then said calmly, false or true or false, believe it or not, it doesn't matter to me. I came here today to win the championship of Xing Ninja Village. Now, if you don't accept it, come up and fight. I don't accept it. At this time, a young man came with the escape technique and soon stood in front of Shari. I am the elite ninja of the Stone Country, Yumura. Today, whether you are Xingying or an ordinary outer ninja, I will defeat you. If you have the strength to defeat me, you are Xingying, if not, you. However, Yumura didn't finish his words, he only heard him scream, and the whole person flew out directly, flying 100 meters away, and flew out of the edge of the square. Everyone was shocked and confused again, and they didn't react at all. A rookie is qualified to be the standard for measuring Xingying. Shari shook his sleeves and said with contempt. Hiss. Now, everyone had to start to believe Shari's words. So, awesome. You beat the elite Jonin of the Stone Country with one move. Is she really Xingying? At this moment, the whole audience was silent, and the voices of doubt subsided instantly. It's the 8 gates. I saw clearly that he used the 8 gates at that moment. Yes, it's him. He is Xingying, only he knows the 8 gates. If you want to pull out the first chakra sword of the Bear Country, the Peacock Magic, you need to practice the 8 gates. In the entire Bear Country, only Xingying Su Qingcheng knows it. He is definitely Xingying. The great elder Duo Rimmon was immediately excited. Swish. Before the other elders could react, Duo Rimmon flew up and came to Shari. Then, Duo Rimmon immediately bowed and said. The elder Duo Rimmon of the Star Ninja Village greets the Star Shadow. This scene stunned everyone. The elder of the Sound Ninja Village looked a little unhappy. Suddenly, a chill rose. Could it be, he is really the Star Shadow of the Bear Country? This is the Supreme Star Shadow. Once offended, the consequences will be very serious. Elder Huo Tian did not expect that he had offended the Star Shadow just now. So, he is the first Star Shadow. Awesome. Such a beautiful appearance. As a woman, I am ashamed of myself. Everyone in the audience was amazed. All of them sighed at Shari's peerless beauty. However, what surprised me is that the Star Shadow of the first Star Ninja Village is willing to help our other Star Ninja Villages vent their anger. According to the legend, doesn't he have a very good relationship with our village? After hearing this, Hitaki Kusuo frowned. Although the outside world has been saying that the relationship between Shari and the Star Ninja Village is only because the Star Ninja Village gave all the raw stones in its hands to Shari Zero. Could it be, he is really an outer ninja from our Star Ninja Village in disguise? Some people raised doubts. They began to speculate on Shari's true identity. Ahem. Seeing the elder of the ninja village bowing to him, Shari wanted to stop him, but thinking of himself his identity should not be exposed now, so he had to straighten his back again. Master Xingying, there is still a star in the Sound Village. I have kept it very well for so many years, and it has never been snooped by anyone. You did a good job on this matter. The star in our village has disappeared. If you don't mind, you can give us your star. Shari said modestly. Elder Duo Rimon's attitude became more respectful. Of course, what you said is right. If the star in your place is missing, it is normal for us to give you the star here. Swish, swish, swish. Elder Huo Tian flew onto the stage with a swish. Then he bowed to Shari and said, I have heard of Xingying's name for a long time and have admired her for a long time. I have fantasized about competing with Xingying. I wonder if Xingying is willing to fulfill my wish. Shari glanced at Elder Huo Tian coldly and said disdainfully, Elder Huo Tian, it's not that I don't want to fulfill your wish, but I'm afraid of hurting your old bones. People are old and don't need to care about these reputations or be competitive. Isn't it good to enjoy your old age? Elder Huo Tian's expression became solemn, and his respectful face suddenly became a little ugly. Chapter 329. Why does Xingying look down on me so much? I am a Jonin after all, and I am only one step away from the level of Kage. I am not an unknown person, and I have mastered a good ninjutsu. 2 years ago, I have been practicing in seclusion, and I only came out once today. The reason why I work so hard is to be able to compete with Xingying. I beg Xingying to fulfill my wish. Elder Woshan was sincere and looked at Shari with eager eyes. Hitaki Kusuo heard it from a distance, but shook his head helplessly. Such a competition has no suspense at all. If Shari can't even handle him, Hitaki Kusuo should really consider whether to bring her with him. Shari smiled faintly. Since Elder Huo Tian wants to fight with me so much, then I will fulfill your wish. However, if I hurt Elder Huo Tian, please forgive me. Seeing Shari nodded, Elder Huo Tian's mouth curled up with a smug smile. Xingying doesn't have to show mercy to my men. I won't feel ashamed even if I lose to Xingying today. I didn't come here to defeat Xingying today, but just wanted to see how many moves I can last under Xingying. I have always heard that no one in the entire Bear Country can last 2 moves under Xingying, so I want to challenge him today to see if I can last 3 moves. Shari's eyes were filled with disdain. He shook his head and sighed helplessly. If Shari really went all out to fight him, he probably wouldn't be able to survive 2 moves in front of Shari. After hearing this, Hitaki Kusuo's mouth suddenly raised a smile. Being able to come here and encounter this incident is also a good gain for him. After all, in the future, Kusuo Hitaki plans to hand over all the Demon Slayer core in his hands to Shari. So it is very likely that he will encounter similar things. Dealing with these things is one of the skills that Shari must learn in the future. But at this moment, Shari is a little entangled in his heart. Now Shari has easily killed all the ninja swords and the 7 people. And all 7 of them have been resurrected through the impure world reincarnation. Everyone's strength is very strong, and they are not any shadow-level strongman. But looking at the person in front of him at this moment, his strength can barely catch up with the edge of the shadow level. But Shari still plans to take this battle. Although these people in front of him, this battle is also a battle organized by an underground organization. It is to allow some ninjas who are crazy about money to find an opportunity to make money quickly. When Shari thought of the scene where he had just seen these ninjas from his Star Ninja Village being almost killed by the people from the Sound Ninja Village, he immediately clenched his hands tightly together. Since you insist on fighting me, it's not that I can't agree to it, but I didn't say it in advance. No matter what the result is, you have to bear it yourself. Huiyan immediately became energetic when he heard it. However, Shari also wanted to take this opportunity to teach the Sound Ninja Village a lesson and dispel their arrogance. Let the fighting ninja villages know that the Star Ninja Village is not easy to mess with. Please ask Xingying to take action. Elder Huo Tian asked. Shari smiled slightly, and then he saw his right hand hanging down and his palm gently clenched. Swish. Suddenly, a long sword condensed with flame chakra appeared in Shari's hand. At the same time, a strong chakra power burst out from Shari's body. This is the true legendary peacock magic. I didn't expect Shari to be able to practice the peacock magic to such a level. As expected of a cage-level expert, if Shari's current strength is compared with the other 5 major ninja villages, he should be able to catch up. After seeing Shari's divine power, the other ninjas from the Star Ninja village also began to secretly rejoice in their hearts. If they continue to develop like this, it won't take long for their Star Ninja village to be ranked below the 5 major ninja villages in terms of strength. But if we encounter such an opponent, I don't know whether the Huiyan on the opposite side can bear it. Now everyone has changed from worrying about Shari at the beginning to worrying about the other person. The strength that Shari showed at this moment is definitely not something that ordinary people can easily deal with. Everyone widened their eyes, cheered up and cast all their eyes on Shari's peacock magic. As soon as Shari drew his sword, Elder Huo Tian suddenly felt a strong pressure on him, as if he was almost suffocating. Such a strong breath, such a strong chakra. Everyone sighed. At this moment, Elder Huo Tian began to panic. However, he had already challenged Xingying before, so he had no way to retreat now. Swoosh. Shari gently raised the chakra sword, and a strong breath instantly shot out from the chakra sword. Chapter 330. Even Elder Duo Rimmon was shocked. Elder Huo Tian, go first. Shari put his left hand behind his back, raised his sword with his right hand, and then looked down at Elder Huo Tian with a condescending arrogance. At the same time, a strong breath burst out from Shari's body instantly, stirring the surrounding air directly. I plan to use my peacock magic to knock the opponent down directly. Don't you plan to use other ninjutsu? Hitaki Kusuo's voice immediately reached Shari's ears. I don't need to deal with him, use my own ninjutsu. Hearing Shari's voice, Hitaki Kusuo knew in his heart that Shari was already a little angry. You can handle this matter, and I won't interfere. After all, it's your own village's business. After hearing what Hitaki Kusuo said, Shari suddenly felt a lot more relaxed. If Hitaki Kusuo insisted on not allowing Shari to do so, Shari would also put down the chakra sword in his hand. Fire escape. Big fireball technique. Elder Huo Tian quickly formed a seal, and a burst of energy instantly burst out from around Elder Huo Tian. A blazing flame burned directly on Elder Huo Tian's sword. The powerful energy instantly wrapped around his sword. At the same time, Elder Huo Tian's spiritual energy moved, and the energy in his body also burst out. The powerful momentum made the ninjas of Sound Village stunned. Because they had never seen their Elder Huo Tian so serious, and they had never thought that the momentum and power bursting out of Elder Huo Tian were so powerful. But compared to Shari, it was simply incomparable. Then, Elder Huo Tian raised the sword in his hand and rushed towards Shari. Shari still stood there calmly, with no intention of accepting the attack, as if waiting for the opponent to attack. Ha diaresis. Elder Huo Tian shouted angrily, and his feet instantly exerted force, and the entire arena was shaken by his step. The powerful breath and energy turned into red light and wrapped around Elder Huo Tian. Elder Huo Tian was already unstoppable, rushing towards Shari. With that kind of power, except for Shari, almost no one dared to be as calm as him. The power is still too weak. Shari smiled disdainfully, and then saw him quickly form the peacock magic with his right hand, and then raise the chakra sword forward. Chakra suddenly burst out, and a powerful force turned into a strong breeze, suddenly rushing towards Elder Huo Tian who was rushing up. Swish. Ah! Seeing the chakra rushing towards him, Elder Huo Tian immediately blocked it with his sword and power. However, his power was too weak. He couldn't stop it at all. A great chakra directly bounced him out. Instantly, several of Elder Huo Tian's ribs were broken, and the sword in his hand was bounced out. Finally, Elder Woshan fell on his seat, spurting out a mouthful of blood, and immediately lost his fighting ability completely. The whole process took less than 3 seconds. It was so fast that Elder Woshan was defeated before everyone could react. Hiss. After a while, everyone was stunned and gasped. Oh my god. What happened? It's over so quickly. Oh my god, Xingying is worthy of being Xingying. He is so powerful that he beat the chief elder of Sound Village with one move. The most important thing is that Xingying didn't do anything at all. He just raised his peacock magic and directly defeated the chief elder of Sound Village with the chakra of peacock magic. Awesome. It's so powerful. This is the first time I have seen such a powerful martial artist. What kind of strength is this? Although we can't feel his strength, it seems that he should be in the nascent soul stage. I think his strength is probably more powerful than we imagined. This is the first time I have seen such a terrifying power. Everyone was amazed. However, some female ninjas were instantly attracted by Shari's temperament and strength. Too pretty, and his moves are so cool. I really don't know how to evaluate him. I was completely attracted to him in an instant. Bah! Do you think you are worthy of him with your looks? Not only is he handsome and beautiful Qian Zhaozhao, but he is also very powerful. He is the star of the bear country. Everyone calls him the supreme. What ability do you have to be worthy of him? You are not even worthy of carrying his shoes. The female ninjas began to be crazy, their eyes full of admiration. Of course, at this moment, the people of Sound Village were completely shocked. Although they knew that Shari was very powerful, they did not expect that his strength was so strong that it was outrageous. He was the strongest elder of their Sound Village and the strongest. Even Elder Huo Tian could not withstand Shari's move. They simply could not imagine how powerful Shari was. I lost. But I couldn't even take a single move. Chapter 331. Elder Huo Tian was so angry that he couldn't breathe, and with serious internal injuries, he fainted immediately. Who else is unconvinced? Shari took a step forward and shouted loudly. At this moment, the other ninja villages were trembling with fear. Shari's powerful momentum and strength scared them to death. The Stone Country is willing to lose. The Cloud Country is willing to lose. The Flower Country is willing to lose. The Sound Village is willing to lose. In an instant, several other ninja village elders stood up and bowed to admit defeat. With Xingying in charge, how could they not lose? They knew very well that even if all the elders of the ninja village were added together, they might not be Shari's opponents. So in this battle, they were defeated with conviction. Yeah. Great. Our Xing Ninja Village has finally made a comeback and finally regained the former top of the ninja village fighting. Haha, who said our Xing Ninja Village is weak? Now, with Xingying in charge, even the entire continent has to admit defeat. The Star Ninja Village ninjas stood up excitedly. They shouted together. Swish, swish, swish. Just then, all the elders of the Star Ninja Village flew to the ring together and knelt down in front of Shari. Thank you Xingying for your support. The Star Ninja Village is grateful. The elders shouted in unison. In an instant, all the elders seemed to have become Shari's believers. After seeing this scene, Hitaki Kusuo was very happy. Because if Shari's power grows, his army will become stronger in the future. What are you going to do now? Stay here. Shari shook his head gently. In that case, let's continue on our way. After Shari nodded, he immediately made seals with both hands. Swish. However, in the next second, Shari suddenly disappeared. Before everyone could react, Shari was gone. Where is Xingying? Why did he suddenly disappear? Did he leave? What a pity, I wanted to talk to him. Oh, why did he leave so suddenly? I haven't even seen his face clearly. What a pity. Xingying really comes and goes without a trace. The female ninjas sighed. I heard there is another star in this village. Should we go back and take a look? After Shari finished speaking, Kusuo Hitaki immediately raised a satisfied smile. It seems that Shari is very familiar with Kusuo Hitaki. He knows that Kusuo Hitaki has been searching for some powerful chakras recently. Although Kusuo Hitaki already has some chakras of the 10 tails in his hands, he will not refuse if he can get more chakras. But they already know what you look like now, so how do you plan to hide in the village? After I finished speaking, Shari was silent. After all, Shari's identity is now regarded as a star in the village. If it is just 1 or 2 times to hand over things in the village to Kusuo Hitaki, maybe other people will not say anything for the time being. But after all, a lot of things have happened in the village now. Especially the Star Ninja Village, which has expanded a lot of other small ninja villages in recent times. The people in those villages have not seen Shari yet, otherwise things like today would not have happened. In that case, let's change into a new set of equipment and pretend to be an ordinary person to see. After hearing this, Kusuo Hitaki nodded with satisfaction. In fact, Kusuo Hitaki had no plans to participate in their village's affairs recently. After returning to the Star Ninja Village, Shari quickly found a set of men's clothes and put them on while others were not paying attention. Clear and refined, handsome and cool. Even with a little silly and thick look. The whole person seemed to have completely changed his personality, no longer aloof. He looked like a silly and immature boy. Lord Kusuo Hitaki. Are you going to come to the village? After hearing what Shari said, Kusuo Hitaki shook his head. Kusuo Hitaki is not the same as Shari. Shari is just a girl. If she dresses up as a man, she will not be recognized. But Kusuo Hitaki still has that mark on his forehead. If Kusuo Hitaki goes to the village like this, he will definitely be recognized by others, and Shari's identity will be exposed. At that time, it is very likely to affect Kusuo Hitaki's acquisition of this new star. I don't want to let the matter of winning the star have its own. I will not participate in his disclosure. You get the things in the village and then come to me outside the village. Shari nodded and replied. Okay, Master Kusuo Hitaki. After saying this, Shari walked towards the training room with deep affection. The Star Ninja Village they are currently visiting is not the Star Ninja Village where Shari lived before. Chapter 332. I didn't expect them to send the stars here in such a short time. Shari also knew very well that if something like a star was easily taken out, it would naturally be spied on by many people. It can only be circulated in one Star Ninja Village after another, and slowly sent to the village where it is. It was actually placed next to the ninja tool forging room. Shari came to the ninja tool manufacturing furnace and sat cross-legged as usual. He threw a few dry firewood under the furnace until the flames were blazing, and then Shari began to breathe deeply. I wonder how the chakra enhancement pill works. Shari's mind moved, and he took out the elixir from the system. Then, Shari swallowed it directly. Just as Shari swallowed the elixir, he felt that his body began to undergo subtle changes. A force was slowly released from his stomach, then merged into his blood vessels, and flowed rapidly in his blood vessels. It was extremely refreshing and extremely comfortable. The force seemed to have washed Shari's meridians all over his body, and then merged into Shari's dantian. Shari could feel that there was obviously more power in his body. The chakra in his body was also enhanced a lot. I didn't expect this elixir to be so useful. My strength has increased a lot so quickly. Sha was surprised. In fact, Kusuo Hitaki, who was outside the village, had already felt the changes in Sha's body. I didn't expect that after Sha ate this thing, the chakra in her body became so smooth. He didn't expect Sha to improve her realm again. Kusuo Hitaki always felt that Sha's realm was improving faster and faster recently. And he also felt that the energy in Sha's body seemed to be constantly multiplying, as if it had reproductive ability. Once upon a time, he felt a strange energy in his body. Yes, it seems that I am one step closer to improving my strength. In fact, Sha didn't have too many other goals. Sha just hoped that he could improve his strength so that he could accompany Kusuo Hitaki. Marin. Just at this moment, a clear and pleasant female voice sounded outside. Hearing the voice outside, Shari immediately stood up and wiped a handful of black ash on his face. He did this to deceive others and make them think that he had been watching the fire here. Secondly, it was to cover up his face, because he had appeared in front of so many people today, so he was afraid of being recognized by others. The reason why he hid his identity was not only because he didn't want others to mock him for being a big boss, but also because he didn't want to cause himself more trouble. Once his identity was exposed, many people would surround him, which would have a great impact on his practice. So, he simply hid his identity directly, so that he could do what he wanted to do every day with peace of mind. Ma Ren, I didn't expect you to be here guarding the furnace all the time. The one who came in was a little Lolita wearing a long white gauze dress with a pure and lovely face. Especially the two braids on her head, which were very cute. After seeing this girl, Shari suddenly became a little nervous. After all, Shari was now disguising her identity, and she didn't expect that the other party would mistake her for Ma Ren. Shari quickly turned her head and looked at the duty list on the side. 0 Please give flowers. The photo of this very cute girl was on the side. The girl's name is Tsunami. Tsunami. The visitor, Tsunami, is a ninja tool-making sword boy from the Star Ninja village like Shari, and they are both mainly responsible for guarding the ninja tool manufacturing furnace. But there is a difference, that is, Tsunami has spiritual roots, but her cultivation is extremely low. Although she has spiritual roots, her strength is actually similar to that of Ma Ren who has no spiritual roots. Of course, Shari is no longer the same Ma Ren as before. 0 She just hid her strength. These two people used to be the two weakest ninjas in this small star ninja village. These two people usually have little contact. Although they don't meet often, they both know that each other is the only one to rely on in this village. Although the two have not met many times, they have been passing letters. Ma Ren, I asked you to go but you refused. Now you must regret it. Do you know what I saw in the fighting field today? Tsunami came over excitedly, and then put her head close to Shari. Her round face almost bumped into Shari's face. Ahem, what did you see? Shari asked with two dry coughs. Tsunami became more excited, and her face suddenly became a lovelorn maniac. Do you know? I saw the legendary star shadow today. Everyone in the stadium saw it. After hearing this, Shari suddenly became nervous. If she was recognized at this time, the incident of the star's loss would still fall on her head. Chapter 333. Shari has been with Hitaki Kusuo for such a long time. If Hitaki Kusuo wants to get the star chakra, Shari will naturally do her best to help Hitaki Kusuo get it. But when Shari looked up, she found that Tsunami was looking at the ceiling with a lovelorn look on her face. She didn't notice her nervousness at all. He showed up in front of so many people today. I didn't expect that I could see the Xingying I always admired. Shari smiled awkwardly. But, so what? I'm not interested in Xingying. This doesn't matter to me. Jinami rolled her eyes speechlessly, then stared at Shari like an idiot and said, You are so weird, aren't you? Have you forgotten it yourself? When we were writing letters, you told me that you really wanted to see Shari. But now there is such a good opportunity, but you don't want to go. Also, that's the legendary Xingying, the whole bear country, that is an invincible existence. If there is no Shari, our entire country and village are just a small village that is looked down upon by others. Then Jinami stood up, looked out the window, and said with a crazy face, Then you or I don't know how beautiful he looks. Wow, my god. I have never seen such a beautiful woman. I didn't respond to one trick. I didn't respond at the time, and the duel was over. To be honest, he was too powerful. All the elders and ninjas of the ninja village admired him very much. I worshipped him even more. He disappeared directly out of thin air. It's just that Jinami couldn't recognize him. It's such a pity that I didn't recognize his face clearly at that time, otherwise, I would have remembered his face firmly in my mind. At this point, Jinami turned her eyes to Shari. Then, Jinami's pupils suddenly widened, staring at Shari intently. Why are you staring at me like this? Shari felt a little strange and numb in her heart. Ha, it's amazing, isn't it a coincidence that Xingying actually looks a bit like you? Ha ha. It's amazing, I saw you, it's like seeing Shari. Jinami was so excited that she walked over and pinched Shari's face. Haha, I feel a bit like him. I don't know if I have an illusion. By the way, I remember that he seemed to be an outer ninja of our Xingnan village. I don't know if it's true or not. If so, could it be you? Shari was a little panicked. Could his identity be exposed? Shari quickly shook his head. Tsunami, you must not have seen his face clearly. How could I look like him? How could I be him? Shari knew that a little girl like this could be easily deceived by finding an excuse. But if they stayed together for too long, they might expose their identity. But at the same time, Shari also began to think seriously about another thing. Before, Shari had talked about some gambling incidents in underground fighting arenas. But since Shari became a star shadow, he had also issued an order to prohibit participation in such battles. But the facts were completely different from what he imagined. Not only did these people not stop participating, but even such a young child in front of him had already gone to such a fighting arena. But thinking that he was still at great risk of being exposed, Shari quickly coughed lightly. From what you said just now, he must be very handsome, but you see I look so dark and silly, totally different from his temperament. So I can't be him at all, we are completely different people. Ahahaha. Tsunami raised her head and laughed. What are you laughing at? Shari asked curiously. Tsunami replied with a smile. I was just joking with you just now, do you really think I mistook you for Xingying? Completely different personalities is one of the reasons, besides, everyone knows your strength, you have no spiritual roots. You are not my opponent in terms of martial arts. You can't even beat me, how can you be Xingying? So I was just talking to you, we're just joking, but I didn't expect that I would scare you. Chapter 334. Ha ha ha. Tsunami laughed heartlessly. By the way, can you tell me one thing, why do you want to participate in this competition? Shari knew very well that although she was pretending now, she still had to solve the problems encountered in the village. You actually forgot about this matter, have you forgotten it? At that time, we two had sent letters together about this matter. Tsunami immediately turned her head to look at Shari, but Shari looked at a loss. Shari was not Ma Ren, so she naturally didn't know what the two wrote in the letter. I see that you are burning fires here every day, and your brain is burning. You even forgot the content of the letter between us. Tsunami looked a little unhappy, but Shari breathed a sigh of relief after seeing this scene. As long as his identity is not recognized for the time being, there will be no problem. It's not that I've been busy here for too long and suddenly forgot about it. After Shari finished speaking, Tsunami rolled her eyes at Shari. I say, Marin, you are really a weird guy. It's obviously because you don't have much money in your hand now, and you still need to take the Chunin exam, so I accompany you. After hearing Tsunami's words, Shari's eyes were actually a little sad. I didn't expect that the two young children in front of me would actually participate in such a thing for the Chunin exam. So how much have you improved your strength now? Shari looked at the girl next to him. My current strength is just a genin, but I don't plan to participate in such a competition again. Anyway, my strength improvement is not of much use to me. Although Tsunami said this, Shari could still see a hint of disappointment in Tsunami's eyes. If you want to take part in the Chunin exam, you should find someone to teach you well. I know very well in my heart that with Tsunami's current strength, she needs to study hard for a period of time before she can take part in the Chunin exam. It's easy to say, but if you want to find someone to teach me, the tuition fee alone is not a small fee. Who will give me so much money? Tsunami also moved a piece of wood from the side and threw it directly into the stove. If you really need someone. A lot of words were interrupted by footsteps on the side before they were finished. Tap tap tap. Just at this moment, hurried footsteps were heard outside. Then, a middle-aged man strode in. The visitor was the village chief of the Xing Shaoxing ninja village. Kadozi was one of the weapons managers of the Xing ninja village. The ninja tool-making project on this side was handed over to him, and he was asked to supervise and be responsible. However, Shari did not have a very good relationship with this elder. Because Kadozi usually had a serious expression and often lost his temper. Sometimes he was very irritable, and he would be scolded for the slightest mistake. Sometimes there would even be various punishments. But Shari was used to it. Hurry up and cast the ninja tools. Tonight, these pieces will be given as prizes to the ninjas who will challenge on stage. So hurry up and don't be lazy. Also, I will come over to guide you to make another sword later. I will find some high-quality materials. We must make this sword well. This is a reward for the senior brother of the Star Ninja Village. We must not be careless. After giving the order, Kadozi left. You are so fierce and have a stern face all day long. Who are you showing off to? As soon as Kadozi left, Jinami complained dissatisfiedly. But after hearing this, Shari frowned. This person can be regarded as the village chief of this village. He actually allowed the villagers to participate in such a competition so blatantly. Now Shari finally understood. Why would such a young girl in front of him participate in such a competition? I didn't expect that in such a small village, even the village chief would support such a thing. It seems that when I go back, I really have to manage these small affiliated villages well. Recently, Shari has been following Kusuo Hataki outside. Of course, he didn't know about the village. How are things going over there? If it's done, let's go quickly. Shari's ears once again heard Kusuo Hataki's voice, but this time Shari was a little surprised that Kusuo Hataki's words were a little anxious. My things here will be done soon. Is there anything urgent, Lord Kusuo Hataki? Kusuo Hataki didn't answer. After a long while, he said this. Yes. I will definitely deal with things here as soon as possible. After Shari finished speaking, he fell into deep thought. For so long, there have been few things that make Kusuo Hataki anxious. What exactly happened? Chapter 335. But after such a long time, Shari's attitude towards Kusuo Hataki has become a problem. Natsuki naturally knew. Even if something serious happened to Kusuo Hataki, Kusuo Hataki would still not say it. It seems I should be faster. After Shari finished speaking, he began to look for the location of the meteorite. I'll leave this to you. I'll go out first. After Shari left this sentence, he immediately turned around and ran out. Only Tsunami was left alone in the house. Remember to keep the tools on time, and don't let the fire down. Although Shari is not a professional ninja tool maker, but Shari still understands some basic things. Don't you plan to finish the things here before leaving? Tsunami's voice sounded behind him, but Shari ignored it and ran out straight away. Really? Where are you going? Why did you leave without finishing the things at hand? Tsunami stomped her feet fiercely. At this time, Shari had already left the house. Although Shari can sense Tsunami behind him through his peacock magic. But Shari is also very clear in his heart that the most important thing at this time is to get the meteorite in his hands first, so that he can help Kusuo Hataki. Master Kusuo Hataki, I will find a suitable place to hide first and continue to act at night. Shari quickly used his peacock magic to pass his plan to Kusuo Hataki. Okay. Kusuo Hataki replied after a while. Although Kusuo Hataki was a little anxious at the moment, he was still very eager for Xing's chakra. Shari found an empty house and hid. There is no one else in the village patrolling nearby. It seems that hiding in this place for a day is the best way. Shari gently opened a window next to him. The angle outside the window just happened to see the direction of the intersection. Shari can use the peacock magic in his body to sense the people nearby. This village has become like this now. It seems that after I finish dealing with things here, I must keep them here for a while. After Shari finished saying this, he turned his head and looked at the meteorite he wanted to take away. If it were any other time, it would not be an easy task for any star ninja village to take this meteorite away. But at this moment, the village in front of them has become extremely corrupt. This is because the underground fighting that Shari had seen before was something that Shari had banned before. But here, such a thing can actually get the support of the village chief. And an ordinary genin who wants to get Chunin training actually needs to rely on such fighting to get the training fee. There is no need for the village chief to stay here anymore. Shari's hands clenched tightly together. If it weren't for the fact that Shari needed to hide at this time, Shari really wanted to punch the ground hard. Don't get too excited. Just deal with the meteorite. We'll talk about the rest later. Hataki Kusuo outside the forest could also feel the change in the breath of Tsukumo. Don't worry. Master Hataki Kusuo, I will definitely get this done. After saying this, Shari continued to observe the situation around him. For Shari, handing this meteorite to Hataki Kusuo is the most important thing now. Master Hataki Kusuo, I plan to act at night. Can you wait for me for a while? Shari used his peacock magic to transmit his voice to Hitaki Kusuo. But after a while, Hitaki Kusuo slowly replied. Deal with the things at hand as soon as possible. Based on Shari's understanding of Hitaki Kusuo, just hearing Hitaki Kusuo's words, Shari knew that something big must have happened. The night gradually became darker. I've waited so long, and finally it's night. Looks like I can take action now. Shari rushed out of the house, but just as he rushed out, he met two patrolling guards. Just as the two guards were about to take out their weapons and start questioning, Shari threw two shurikens in his hand directly at the foreheads of the two money people. The arrowheads of the two shurikens thrown by Shari had been worn much blunt. Hitting the foreheads of the two people, it only made a deep hole in their foreheads. It didn't kill them, at most they fainted for a few hours. I can only apologize to you two. Shari looked down and said slowly to the two people who fell to the ground. Shari knew very well that at this time, Kusuo Hitaki was still waiting for him outside the forest. It seems that it should be the house in front. There are still some fragments of the star in Shari's body. Using these fragments, it is easy to find the current location of the star. Chapter 336. Is there no other guard in such a big village? Apart from the two people he met at the beginning, Shari did not meet a third person. However, it was late at night. It was easy to be invaded. Shari walked alone towards the house where Xing was stored. Even the guards are so lax, it seems that this village should really be managed by someone else. Shari became more and more angry when she thought of this. But Shari was very clear in her mind now. The most important thing was that she wanted to bring the star in front of her to Kusuo Hitaki. This was a matter in the village, and it should be dealt with after Kusuo Hitaki's matter was dealt with. There were no other guards in the village, and Kusuo Hitaki walked to the location where the star was stored without much effort. Although the size of this star is a little smaller, it should be a very important thing for Lord Kusuo Hitaki. The size of the star that appeared in front of Shari was indeed smaller. But Kusuo Hitaki was also very clear that it was very difficult to find something like this now. Peacock magic. After Shari finished speaking, the chakra in Shari's body immediately transformed into two huge hands. Shari's two big hands easily lifted the star out of Hitaki Kusuo. It seems that we should fly out of the village at this time, so that we can be faster. If it were a meteorite of this size, Shari would have no way to carry it away. But with the value of the peacock magic, the meteorite was still very light in Shari's hands. Shari immediately raised his head. Fire escape. Great fireball technique. A huge fireball instantly spewed out of Shari's mouth. The thick flames instantly began to burn the roof of the entire house. But what was unexpected was that the entire house had not been repaired for a long time, and under the attack of the flames, it didn't take long for it to be burned to ashes. The starry sky immediately appeared in front of Shari. After seeing this scene, Shari frowned immediately. They didn't even repair the most basic things in the village, and they dared to be our affiliated village. Since the emergence of Shari, the strength of the Star Ninja village has increased a lot. There are also many small villages that took this opportunity to start working towards the Star Ninja village. But Shari once issued an order before leaving. All villages that want to form an alliance with them must pass a strict screening and must obey Shari's orders. But the village where Shari is now, these two necessary conditions are all violated. When I find out who pulled this village to us, I will definitely make him look bad. While Shari was angry, he was also thinking about how to make the people in this village get more money and strength. It seems that there is no time to deal with so many things this time, and it will have to be next time. After speaking, Shari immediately closed his eyes, and his two huge wings immediately opened. After a long time, Shari's figure has appeared in the forest. I'm sorry, Master Kusuo Hitaki, my action time this time is a bit long. When Shari saw Kusuo Hitaki, he immediately gave her an apologetic look, but Kusuo Hitaki didn't care. It's okay. You've done a good job on this matter. After hearing what Kusuo Hitaki said, Shari showed a bit of embarrassment on his face. It will take me some time to absorb these chakras. I also noticed what you did in the village just now. I can give you a few days to settle that girl down. After hearing this, Shari was stunned at first, and then his eyes were filled with gratitude. Although Shari and Tsunami didn't have much contact time, but Shari could clearly feel that Tsunami was a very kind person. Thank you for your help, Mr. Kusuo Hitaki. Just when Shari was about to leave, Kusuo Hitaki suddenly stopped Shari. This thing is for you. There is a team nearby that can participate in training recently. After finishing his words, Kusuo Hitaki took out a training forehead protector from his pocket and placed it in Shari's palm. I'll give this to you. Shari was stunned at first, and then quickly looked at the training forehead protector in his hand. What is this? This matter is related to what we are going to do next. It is said that some people from the Sound Village are organizing the training this time. Although Shari couldn't guess the relationship between the prescription and this matter, but Kusuo Hitaki knew very well in his heart that the people from the Sound Village were naturally Orochimaru's subordinates. You pretend to be Marin first and get this done first. After hearing this, Shari nodded. Chapter 337 inches. Our main thing is to find out what those people on the other side want to do. At the same time, we must send Tsunami to this Chunin training place. Hitaki Kusuo knew very well that such a training camp was not a safe place, but the village where Tsunami was located was indeed very turbulent. If they followed the training method of patrolling the field, they would surely die if they encountered danger. Master Hitaki Kusuo, I will definitely do a good job on this matter. After saying this, Shari turned around and returned to the village. At this time, there didn't seem to be any major problems in the village. Shari put on the clothes she had worn before, changed it back. Ma Ren, why did you take so long to come back? After hearing Tsunami's voice, Shari forced a slight smile on her lips. Nothing, I just brought you something. After saying this, Shari immediately took out a training forehead protector from her pocket and placed it in front of Tsunami. Don't you want to improve your strength? Take this thing, and then I will take you to a place, and then someone will naturally teach you other ninjutsu. After hearing this, Tsunami first picked up the training forehead protector in her hand and looked at it several times. You must have spent a lot of effort to bring such a thing back, right? Otherwise, forget it, and go practice. Tsunami's eyes flashed with a trace of sadness. Then she immediately put the training forehead protector in her hand back to Shari's hand. Such a thing is not suitable for me now. Shari also began to persuade Tsunami. It was also Hitaki Kusuo's intention to let Tsunami practice. At this time, when Shari was persuading Tsunami, Hitaki Kusuo was constantly absorbing the chakra of the stars. At the same time, the Demon Slayer Corps was also constantly sending information to Hitaki Kusuo. But these situations were all about Orochimaru. With Shari's current trust, there was no way to get in touch with these things. The monkey also persuaded for a whole night before convincing Tsunami. Marin, I promise you this matter. Let's go together and see what this training place looks like. After hearing this, Shari was relieved. If it weren't for Shari disguising himself as Marin, Shari didn't dare to guarantee how long it would take to convince Tsunami. In that case, let's get on the road quickly. This time our goal is to go to the Great Star Ninja Village. After a period of development, the current Star Ninja Village has been divided into many Star Ninja Villages. Among them, the Star Ninja Village where Shari is called the Great Star Ninja Village. You two just need to go to the training place, I will follow you. When Shari heard the voice of Hitaki Kusuo, she was relieved. Okay, Master Hitaki Kusuo, I will take Tsunami with me. The training forehead protector in your hand is not something you can find easily, you must protect it well. After hearing what Hitaki Kusuo said, Shari nodded immediately and hurriedly took Tsunami to start the journey. The departure time is the next morning. As for what happened in the village, Shari doesn't care at all now. Zero, please give flowers. Don't forget to hide your own strength, and don't reveal your identity during this period. After hearing what Hitaki Kusuo said, Shari began to pay attention to herself and forgot to hide her strength. The two began to walk out slowly in the forest. Don't we need to deal with the Mizukage's matter anymore? Shari used her peacock magic to convey the message to Hitaki Kusuo. Put it aside for now, we have other important things to do. After saying this, Hitaki Kusuo shut up and stopped talking. 0. Shari also shut up very tactfully and stopped asking questions. Instead, he started walking in the small villages along the way with Tsunami. I'm a little tired, I want to find a place to rest for a while ahead. Tsunami wiped the sweat from her forehead and turned to look at Shari. Shari also stopped immediately. After all, Tsunami's strength was only that of a genin. Putting Tsunami aside, Shari took out the training forehead protector in his palm and looked at it carefully again. This is a strange forehead protector like a willow leaf, with no words engraved on it, but it exudes a faint chakra. Shari thought secretly in his heart. Training forehead protector. Tsunami looked at the thing in Shari's palm at this time, and her eyes suddenly lit up and she exclaimed. Although before this, Shari gave his training forehead protector to Jin-Nami. Tsunami didn't look at the training forehead protector carefully at that time, and it was not until now that Jin-Nami finally realized the importance of this training forehead protector. But this call didn't matter. Shari immediately felt someone coming from outside the alley. Chapter 338. The preciousness of the training forehead protector is unparalleled in the current bear country. Shari's face suddenly sank. Tsunami on the opposite side also knew that she had said the wrong thing, and her face also changed. The truth that holding a treasure is a crime, the two of them naturally know better than others. Let's go. Shari made a quick decision, pulled Jin-Nami up, and was about to run out. But the temptation of the training forehead protector was so great that the two of them were blocked by a group of people as soon as they ran to the entrance of the alley. 3 people, 2 chunin and 1 genin. This is clearly a family of 3. It is obvious that the training forehead protector is for their children. This little brother, is this the training forehead protector you mentioned just now? The woman came up with a smile on her face and walked towards Shari. The aura of a chunin rolled out and directly pressed to Shari and the others. Although the other party's tone was euphemistic, it was obvious that he was going to take the treasure by force. Go. Shari made a gesture, and Tsunami and him turned around and ran away. Haha, 2 little genin, also want to participate in the chunin special training. Ridiculous. Swish. A white streak of light directly wrapped around them, wrapping around the 2 people's bodies, and then retreating, and the 2 fell in front of each other. Take it out, I can spare your life. The woman sneered, grabbed Tsunami and Shari's throats, grabbed the 2 people directly, and grabbed their necks. The faces of the 2 people were purple and blue. Okay. I'll give it to you. Shari squeezed out these words from between his teeth. Although Shari had enough strength to compete with these people. But according to Hitaki Kusuo's request, Shari could not show his strength at this time. After Shari finished saying this, he did not explain any more and threw a forehead protector in his hand directly. Shari drew his sleeve and the forehead protector appeared in his palm. Training forehead protector. The 2 of them changed their faces and were surprised. But before they could get better, Shari threw the training forehead protector out fiercely. Shari's move was unexpected and the 2 of them could not react immediately. Training forehead protector. The appearance of the training forehead protector immediately caused a sensation in the whole street. Everyone rushed towards the training forehead protector, casting spells and rushing to get it. You stinky boy, you are looking for death. The woman was furious when she saw that the training forehead protector was thrown out and caused everyone to fight for it. Don't worry about these 2 ants, the training forehead protector is important. The husband next to him grabbed his wife, who angrily threw Shari to the ground and turned to find the training forehead protector. Ahem. This made Shari feel dizzy and his back and waist ached. I'm sorry. Seeing that the training forehead protector was gone, Jinami said to Shari with a guilty look on her face. Shari raised her eyebrows, but smiled at her. Look what this is. A forehead protector appeared in Shari's palm. You. Jinami was stunned. She didn't expect that this guy would dare to hide the training forehead protector under the eyes of a chunin. Ahem, this is not a place to talk. Let's go. Shari smiled, put away the training forehead protector, and pulled Jinami to leave. The two hid here and there, and soon moved to a secret place. The day after tomorrow is the day for the Chunin training to begin. Shari and Tsunami sat back to back in a cave, looking at the stars outside. Because the memory in the mysterious shop disappeared, Shari only remembered that because of the female assassin, he could not go back to the Dragon King Temple, so he had to find this cave to make do. This training forehead protector is for you. Shari took a look at the training forehead protector in his hand, and threw it into Tsunami's hand. How can I use this? Tsunami hurriedly declined. It doesn't matter, I'll go to the selection. Shari smiled and said, if we are destined, we will meet at the selection. But Tsunami refused again and again. He naturally knew the preciousness of the training forehead protector. It is comparable to a ninja tool. The two of them just met by chance, how could they easily accept such a treasure? To be honest, I don't care whether I can join the Star Ninja Village or not. But you are different. You have been preparing for so long to enter the Star Ninja Village, while I am just trying my luck. The main purpose is to test my own practice. So, you take this thing. Shari said, and started practicing directly. Seeing that the other party had made a decision, Jin Nami no longer insisted. She glanced at Shari and accepted the thing helplessly. No words were spoken all night. The next day, Shari and the other person were still practicing, but suddenly heard a lot of noise in the city. Shari opened his eyes and saw Jin Nami coming back from outside. The elders of the Star Ninja Village have arrived. From Jin Nami's mouth, Shari learned that today was the day when the elders of the Star Ninja Village would come. Shari and Jin Nami had just finished talking when they heard the noise outside stop. Chapter 339. Shari went out to see that he heard several more sharp whistles in the distance. Shari looked up and saw dozens of flying summoned beasts coming towards him under the horrified eyes of everyone. The other party's aura was not concealed at all, and all kinds of powerful auras were exposed. The aura of each of these summoned beasts was definitely that of a genin-level strongman. And now, they are someone else's mounts. Just these summoned beasts, sweeping across the entire Shangjiangao family, is absolutely no problem, but now they have become the other party's mounts. The entire Bear country was in a strange silence in shock at this time. The power of the Star Ninja Village was truly demonstrated at this moment. With the existence of a Jonin ninja, this Star Ninja Village is even more powerful than I imagined. Gradually, the summoned beasts flew closer, and everyone's eyes couldn't help but look a little strange. The bodies of the spiritual beasts covered the sky and blocked the sun, blocking the vision of most of the Bear country. At this moment, it was as if they had fallen into a dark abyss. There was a person standing on the back of each genin-level summoned beast. All their auras were restrained, and no one dared to investigate. The most terrifying of them were the three people who were in the lead at that time. These three people were all wearing star robes, and the aura of the summoned beasts under their feet even reached the elite Jonin level. Roar. Many summoned beasts landed on the top of the city and roared, causing all the guards on the top of the city to change their faces and be extremely horrified. There was even a summoned beast that opened its mouth and swallowed a genin soldier guarding the top of the city in one gulp. Blood dripping. A powerful genin-level warrior died in such an unclear way. Such a shocking scene, no one in the city dared to breathe heavily. After the three summoned beasts landed, the three people standing on the elite Jonin summoned beasts fell from above. The three figures stood on the top of the Bear country, and everyone's eyes were immediately attracted by these three people. It was as if time was frozen at this moment. At this moment, in the eyes and hearts of the people in the city, there were only three figures standing high above, overlooking all living beings, standing in the air. How magnificent! Three Chunins, one of them is the peak of Chunin. Moreover, this is a Chunin from the grass country. No one doubts that any one of the three can easily destroy the entire Bear country. Even if the Bear country has reserved an unknown amount of combat power, it is like a floating cloud in front of these three people. The next moment, several figures suddenly rose into the air in the inner city of the Crocodile Dragon, which had been quiet for a long time. A full 54 people. All Chunin. The 54 people rose to the air and bowed to the three people opposite them. People of the Bear Country, pay respect to the adults. The voice was loud, but the breath of these Bear Country Chunins was trembling slightly. Obviously, these people were in awe of these Chunin masters from the heavenly court. People of the Bear Country, pay respect to the adults. People from the entire Bear Country bowed to the three masters on the top of the city. Ha ha ha, the Lord of the Bear Country, Unamaru, pays respect to the adults. A heroic voice came, and then a strong breath came from the direction of the village chief's house. Shari looked, but saw that the man's body seemed to be shrouded by a white light, and he couldn't see the situation inside at all. This scene seemed to have been seen somewhere. Suddenly, a force surged in Shari's body. A trace of blood power surged into Shari's eyes. Unamaru. A voice sounded, and in the sky, Unamaru withdrew his gaze in confusion. In front of Unamaru, one of the three elders from the Star Ninja village looked about 60 years old, with a convex forehead and smooth as a mirror. But his hair was completely black, without a single strand of white. His eyes were as sharp as a sword, standing there faintly, but like a mountain. When his aura was released, even Unamaru, who was also a peak Chunin, was shocked. Just now I seemed to feel a familiar aura, I was overthinking. Unamaru smiled and turned to look at the three people. Unamaru welcomes the three adults, please come to my village chief's house for a chat. Unamaru smiled and extended his hand to invite the three people. No need. Faced with Unamaru's invitation, the other party did not seem to appreciate it. Then, another one of the three. He suddenly stood up, his body floated in the air, past Unamaru, and stepped away. After seeing this scene, Hitaki Kusuo was shocked. This man, Kusuo Hitaki, had no close relationship with this man. From the other man's skills, Kusuo Hitaki could clearly feel a strong murderous aura. Did Orochimaru send them here to kill people? After Kusuo Hitaki said this, a genin died directly at his hands. And after killing the other man, the man showed no remorse at all. Sure enough, he is Orochimaru's subordinate. Even his mentality is not much different from Orochimaru's. Suo Hitaki sighed to himself. Orochimaru is a guy who kills without blinking an eye. Chapter 340. Just a genin, just kill him. Why are you so anxious here? The majestic voice of the black-clothed Chunin sounded, and there was a hint of coldness in his voice. Everyone in the city changed their faces slightly at this moment, and they were secretly in awe. Even Unamaru frowned slightly at this moment. In front of him, killing people in the city. This is not going to give him any face. But the other party is the elder of the Star Ninja village after all. For Unamaru, it is obviously a behemoth that cannot be resisted, so he did not say anything. Brother Tosin acted for Lord Orochimaru, which was a bit reckless. I hope Unamaru does not mind. It was the white-clothed Chunin who spoke. Hitaki Kusuo smiled contemptuously. Orochimaru's subordinates have never been easy to deal with. Now he has this strength. If Shari does not take action personally, it may be difficult to deter the other party. Sakuding is joking. Unamaru's mouth twitched. This Nima man was killed, what else could he do? He could only smile and say that it didn't matter. Lord Unamaru is generous. We are grateful. In order to repay Unamaru's kindness, the Star Ninja village will add 3 more places in the selection of Bear Country this time. How about assigning people to the city lord? The red-clothed female Chunin smiled and took out 3 willow leaf-like training forehead protectors and said with a smile. I wonder what advice Senior Lian Shu has for me. Unamaru looked at it and asked with a smile. I can't say I have any advice, but I have the master's order this time and can't stay here for long. Therefore, this year's Chunin special training can be held. Lian Shu in red smiled slightly. Yes. Unamaru looked at it and put it away without being polite. He nodded. Give the order. In a quarter of an hour, the trial selection will begin at the East City Training Ground. Unamaru took the 3 training forehead protectors and gave the order directly. Then, everyone in the Star Ninja village did not go to the village chief's house, but went directly to the East City Training Ground. A quarter of an hour later, the Star Ninja village trial will start directly. An hour later, Shari was stunned when he heard the news. I didn't expect the trial to be so direct, just do it as soon as you say it. This star ninja village is so neat and efficient. They just arrived at the bear country and killed people the next moment. Before everyone could react, they started the trial. A quarter of an hour later, Shari and Tsunami appeared at the training ground in the east of the bear country. But the east city was closed at this time and was preparing. Shari and Tsunami also found a small corner to adjust their breathing and prepare. A quarter of an hour later. Dang! A deafening sound of bells and drums suddenly sounded. This sound contained chakra-like piercing clouds and throwing stones, passing through the restrictions of many ninjas training and reaching everyone's ears. So, more Star Ninja Village trialists quickly gathered from all directions in the city. Shari knew that this bell was the signal for the bear country to summon all ninjas. So, Shari and Tsunami jumped up directly, sorted out their belongings a little, and floated out. But as soon as he opened his eyes, Shari was stunned on the spot. On the bear country, ninjas kept flying out. The bear country is now developing on a large scale. It takes a quarter of an hour to get ready, obviously it needs to fly. So the original ban on flying has been opened at this time. As a result, countless ninjas rushed in. There were hundreds of them, and various ninjutsu flashed. Countless sounds of breaking through the air came one after another. There were more than 400 or 500 contestants alone. The entire training ground was directly filled. People were shocked when they saw it. There are so many low-level ninjas hidden in the bear country. These people usually retreat and do not show their talents. Now they show up at the same time, which is very shocking. Seeing Shari leaving the cave, Yuan Shihai flew to his side and said with a laugh, "You and I should go quickly, otherwise we may not be able to find a good position." After Shari finished speaking, Jin Nami nodded gently. The two followed the ninjas to fly to the training ground. At this time, the East City training ground was already crowded and lively. There were already hundreds of ninjas standing in the open space in front of the training ground. These people each occupied a small area, did not interfere with each other, and did not talk. Judging from the aura, these people are not only powerful genin, but also elite jonin and chunin. Elite jonin and chunin naturally cannot participate in the competition, and their children and nephews are participating. In addition, at the entrance of the training ground, dozens of ninjas in silver uniforms stood up. On the silver robes of these people, there is a strange pattern embroidered, which is a picture of immortals ascending. The cultivation of these people is at the elite jonin level, and they are undoubtedly the disciples of the Star Ninja Village who were responsible for receiving the ninjas to participate in the trial selection. These ninjas have solemn faces, their eyes are staring at the front, and their expressions are slightly arrogant. These disciples of the Star Ninja Village are separated from other ninjas. Chapter 341. Several people look down on these people. Hitaki Kusuo did not speak, but just observed silently in the dark. Shari knew that although these disciples were elite jonins, their status was extremely low. The real disciples are all practicing in the grass country and the Great Star Ninja Village to sprint to the Chunin realm, so where can they have time to recruit students here? These disciples of the Star Ninja Village may have exhausted their potential, so they were sent here. The sound of the big bell is endless. Shari also admires the sound of this bell. This sound can be heard dozens of miles away, and the sound still has not dissipated, and it is still clear and audible. I just don't know whether this bell is from the Star Ninja Village or the Bear Country. It's still some time before the training ground opens. Shari is checking the surrounding genin strongmen. Most of these genin ninjas are above the middle genin stage. There are very few genin early stage ninjas like Suna. Those who have just entered the genin stage probably know that their strength cannot compete with these middle and late genin, so they won't come to participate. Outside the East City training ground at this time, the expressions of many genin ninjas are a little nervous, but Shari is very calm. He came here to train himself, and he never had any hope of joining the Star Ninja Village. Having said that, things are unpredictable, and it would be great if he could really join. Shari insisted on coming this time and joining the trial, but he had his own considerations. In addition to the things that Kusuo Hitaki asked him to do, Shari actually wanted to find out why Tsunami had not been able to improve her strength for such a long time. Don't panic first. Although there are many people here, it has nothing to do with us. After hearing what Kusuo Hatake said, Shari quickly replied, Okay, Lord Kusuo Hatake. In fact, Shari was a little nervous before this. After all, with Shari's strength, pretending to be scary, no matter where he went, people would not believe it. But Shari knew very well in his heart that with his help, Tsunami would be able to successfully enter the middle stage of Genin. But in addition to the realm, there are also ninjutsu. There are many powerful people in the entire ninja world. Even if he successfully entered the middle stage of Genin, without better ninjutsu means, relying only on his own understanding and family inheritance, then his own means of saving his life would definitely not increase much. In this way, his experience in the ninja world is already very dangerous. If he is not careful, he will become the mount under the feet of others and the elixir in his arms, just like the summoned beast under the feet of the disciples of the Star Ninja Village. Tsunami doesn't know many ninjutsu, so he will be powerless to fight back against enemies at the middle and late stages of the Genin or even the elite Jonin level. Except for the big killer moves such as the Water and Fire Spirit Ball, he has no reliable means in his hands at the moment. Although he has practiced the Water and Fire Spirit Ball to a certain extent and can use it against the enemy normally. But after all, the means are single. If he encounters a master, he will inevitably be clumsy. Even if he encounters those people who rob the training forehead protector in the future when he is alone, he can only wait for death without any ability to fight back. In addition to ninjutsu, the skills are also a big problem. Shari did not switch to the new skills of the family, and still used the original, Tianlongyan. This skill has inherent limitations, and it may still be used for the moment, but the further he went, the more limited his skills became. And Tianlongyan did not carry any ninjutsu secrets, which made Shari lack ninjutsu at the moment. Although the earlier ninjutsu could still be used, its power was obviously insufficient. The ninja world is so big and full of dangers. Before, Shari was an elite Jonin of the Star Ninja Village. With the protection of the village elders, he naturally could not experience it. But the experience this time gave Shari a new experience. Therefore, he has started his own thinking now. This is an absolute and huge progress. Compared to the various trials and competitions going on in the family. Obviously, this real walking in the ninja world is more useful to him. With all these considerations, for Shari himself, joining a large ninja village for training, and getting a guarantee in addition to the danger, is the best. Ma Ren, which village are you going to join? Shari shook his head and said nothing. The current Shari is no longer the original Shari. Besides, Shari has been following behind Kusuo Hatake for such a long time. There are very few ninja villages that can make Shari's heart beat. Even if they join the 5 great countries, the resources they can provide are still very few. At best, they just find a safe place to practice. And below the level of cage, such small ninja villages are likely to die at any time. This has little effect on Shari's own growth. Therefore, these small ninja villages are all forgotten by Shari. If you want to join this real group with Kusuo Hatake backed by a powerful person. Chapter 342. The Demon Slayer Corps, the Legend of the Dignified Ninja. With the strength of Kusuo Hatake, the Demon Slayer Corps will not be destroyed, and the 5 great countries must be extremely stable. In the current ninja world, there is really no one who dares to challenge the Demon Slayer Corps. Even the Water Country, which has become famous in recent years, is currently limited to the periphery of the Water Country. In this kind of ninja village, there must be no shortage of skills, combat techniques, ninjutsu, and training resources. Even if it is not as good as being a disciple of the 3 ninjas Jiraiya, it is definitely not much worse. After all, Suigetsu got the true teachings personally named by the other party. This kind of opportunity is hard to come by in the entire ninja world. Shari did not expect Tsunami to become fat in one go. After all, the talent is there. Once Tsunami can join the Star Ninja Village, it can be regarded as a touch with the grass country. At that time, not only can he ensure his own stable training, but he may also have many secret techniques and skills to learn. This is also something he is very happy to do. When he succeeds in training, he can return to the family, which is great. Therefore, the Star Ninja Village is the ninja village that Tsunami must try his best to join no matter what. Hitaki Kusuo, after we finish the things here, should we hurry back? Although Hitaki Kusuo didn't say it clearly before, Shari always felt that this matter was not as simple as imagined. A person as powerful as Hitaki Kusuo would never worry easily. Shari was thinking wildly, but she and Tsunami didn't wait outside for long, and the gate of the East Gate training ground opened. Just after a quarter of an hour, the sound of the golden bell stopped abruptly. As the golden bell the sound stopped, and in a flash, an old ninja wearing a white gown appeared in everyone's sight, condescending and suspended in the sky. Shasho looked closely and saw that the old man was tall and slightly fat, with a faint smile on his round face. The other party's eyes were slightly narrowed, his face was white and beardless, and his whole person seemed extremely easy-going, but his breath cultivation is eye-catching. Jonin. I am the deacon of the Great Star Ninja Village, Nalan. I am here under the orders of 3 elders to select talents for the Star Ninja Village. The selection time is tight and the rules have changed. Anyone who trains as a forehead protector holder will directly enter the trial. Other candidates who meet the requirements will compete in the training ground. There will be a 300 battle platform. Those who can stand at the end will enter the trial area for trial. Chapter 5 This fat deacon from Star Ninja Village is not as arrogant as other disciples. It is not as aggressive as the 3 elders before. On the contrary, he looks very kind. But as soon as it came out, everyone present was shocked. 300 battle platforms. Natsuhi and Tsunami also looked at each other. It is normal for the holder of the training forehead protector to be tested directly. This is the rule set by the Star Ninja Village since its establishment. But apart from that, the Star Ninja Village selects trialists and there is another chance to fight. Originally, after multiple rounds of selection, 300 disciples were selected to enter the trial. This will give many trialists a chance to buffer. But now, it's a round of battle to choose someone. This is a great challenge for those who stand on the platform. You need to know that even if a genin is connected to heaven and earth, his inner power is constantly flowing. But the consumption of soul is necessary, in a wheel-to-wheel battle. No matter how strong you are, you may still be defeated by others. Zero asking for flowers. This kind of challenge is unprecedented. What's the fuss about? Seeing the discussion below, the fat deacon suddenly frowned and snorted coldly. In an instant, everyone fell silent. What our Star Ninja Village wants are those who dare to fight and talented disciples. If you don't have the ability, just go home. As soon as the rules of the competition were explained, there was a lot of discussion below. The fat deacon frowned again and said in a cold voice, "If you make any more noise, get out of here." Obviously, this seemingly amiable old deacon's temper is not as polite as everyone imagined. Until then, the discussion below became quiet. In addition to the 300 battle platforms, there are also 300 training forehead protectors. Those selected from the 300 battle platform will enter the trial area and directly compete with those who hold training forehead protectors, and finally the final 600 disciples will be selected. Therefore, being able to train in forehead protection is an excellent opportunity for entering the Star Ninja Village. It is precisely for this reason that training in forehead protection is a rare thing. On the right is the Chunin Special Training Area. Those with training forehead protectors can enter directly. The fat deacon pointed casually to a place with lush trees on the right side of the training ground. Following the direction of the old man's finger, everyone looked intently, but there was a blank space. What is even more surprising is that there is no chakra fluctuation in the consciousness. It seemed as if nothing existed in front of me. Where is this trial area? Sha Tian also looked closely, but also found nothing. But Jinami beside her secretly sent a message to Sha Tian. There is a teleportation gate here. Sha Tian looked at Tsunami in surprise, but the latter raised an eyebrow. I have a lot of research on space ninjutsu. Chapter 343. After Jin Nami's reminder, Sha Tian checked again. After concentrating on it, I still found nothing. But at this moment, a force of blood in the body surged again and entered his eyes. For a moment, Sha Tian's eyes once again burst into golden light. But Sha Tian has little experience in researching the formation, so he cannot tell the role of this formation. But at least, Sha Tian knew that this was by no means an ordinary teleportation array. I have seen some teleportation arrays in Sha Tian, but this time, it is obviously different, so that most people can't find it. Therefore, this wonderful teleportation array, 883, has greatly aroused Sha Tian's interest. The fat deacon did not delay. After he finished speaking, he raised his hand, and a ray of white light flew out of his hand. With a flash of white light, it shot 40 feet ahead. Brush. The white light suddenly disappeared in full view of everyone. At the same time, a burst of colorful rays of light suddenly burst out from the sky, which was normally motionless. A huge wall, like a large bowl turned upside down, suddenly appeared. After the wall briefly flashed for a few times, it slowly receded, finally disappeared, as if nothing happened just now. Now, everyone saw it. Sha was even more surprised. This is obviously a fine ninja tool. I don't know when this ninja tool landed here. And it directly formed a special space. Lord Hitaki Kusuo, I found something very interesting here. When Sha Tian discovered this thing, he immediately informed Hitaki Kusuo. Put this thing here first, don't pick it up yet touch. When the time is right, I will let you come and take it away. Once it is touched in a special way, it will directly cause the ninja tool to react and absorb things from the outside world. It is like a subspace. But it is obviously much more stable. No wonder it is not an ordinary teleportation array, but a ninja tool. Tsunami was also a little stunned. She didn't expect that she had made a mistake. But ninja tools are rare. The Star Ninja Village actually took out ninja tools as a trial area, which made everyone present call them rich. Everyone whispered immediately. They sighed constantly. Such ninja tools would be fought for anywhere. The Star Ninja Village landed here openly. There is no fear of any villain taking it away. This is the atmosphere of the great movement. At this time, Shari used the blood of the ancestral dragon to increase his eyes, and with the help of these the hole created temporarily by the training forehead protector allowed him to see some scenes inside. What came into his eyes was a huge fairyland-like existence. It was like another small world. I don't know whether it was the small world connected to the ninja tool or the ninja tool itself. The mountains were looming in the mist. The stream was gurgling and the grass was lush. In the wild forest, hundreds of birds were singing and insects were chirping, a scene of a fairyland. It was like a paradise on earth, like a fairyland on earth. Shari was even more intoxicated by it. Other ninjas naturally couldn't see these scenes, they could only see them after entering. The blood of the ancestral dragon had a strong effect on the eyes, but it also consumed a lot of energy. Shari only looked at it for a few times and felt dry immediately. He quickly retracted his ninjutsu and felt much more comfortable. At this time, the other people were still immersed in the shock of the ninja tools. Looking at the shocked people, the fat deacon laughed and said, "This treasure is called Star Space. It is a treasure of our Star Ninja Village. There are countless restrictions and many summon beasts in it. For me, it is also full of dangers. Inside it is the location of this trial area." Everyone nodded repeatedly. They knew that the danger mentioned by the fat deacon was extremely dangerous for these ninjas who were only genin. It is very likely that they will die here. But after hearing this, Shari frowned. No matter what, he can be regarded as the shadow of the great Star Ninja Village. But he didn't even know about this thing in the Star Ninja Village. I'm sorry, Master Hitaki Kusuo. I really don't know about this thing. It seems that it should have been taken away by their elders. Shari hurriedly explained. Yes, it's just some small things, no need to explain to me. After hearing what Hitaki Kusuo said, Shari finally breathed a sigh of relief. Those who hold the training forehead protector can enter directly. Go to the trial area quickly, these people have already begun to covet the training forehead protector, and things will change if you delay. Don't worry, just go in for the trial, I will meet you once I go in. Seeing that Jin Nami was about to speak, Shari pushed her hard and pushed her to the trial area. After that, he flew towards the training ground. Tsunami stood behind her and wanted to say more. But Shari did not give her a chance to refuse. Seeing that Shari had entered the training ground, Jin Nami hurriedly held the training forehead protector and entered the trial area. Chapter 344. As soon as Shari entered the training ground, he found that this place was very different from the platform on the open ground that he had imagined. The battle platform is distributed on the huge square. There are 30 tall halls built around the square, which are very demon-like. These halls are all majestic and tall. There are shadowy figures on them, and you can vaguely see the disciples of the Star Ninja Village and some famous and fortunate people in the Bear Country walking around. The space on the hall is very large, and each one is distributed with hundreds of battle seats. Obviously, such a large space cannot be a building in the Bear Country. This is a huge space magic weapon. That is where they are about to arrive. Right opposite these huge halls, there is a hall that is obviously taller than the other halls. This hall has a unique shape. Not only are there carvings of the stars, but there are also symbols of various ninja villages. At this time, on the stone steps of this tall hall, there are dozens of elderly ninjas standing. Shari's eyes swept over, and his heart was immediately shocked. The three people who had taken action in the Bear Country before, as well as the legendary Bear Country Lord Unamaru, are now in this hall. 4 top ninjas. To recruit new students, not only did they use space magic weapons, but they also had 4 top ninjas in charge. Reporting to the 3 elders, all the ninjas who participated in the trial of R-Star Ninja Village have been brought here. A ninja landed, walked forward a few steps, came to the square, turned his back to all the contestants, bowed respectfully to the 4 chunins in the hall, and said respectfully, "Thank you for your hard work, Deacon Morong, please stand aside for a while." The Lord of the Bear Country, Unamaru, smiled slightly, waved calmly, and said indifferently. The Deacon Morong did not dare to say much, bowed, and then stepped aside. At this moment, everyone's eyes were focused on Unamaru and the 3 elders of the Star Ninja Village. All the contestants had eyes full of excitement. Longing. What Shari didn't know was that on the other side of tens of thousands of candidates, there was a woman who was looking around, as if looking for something. It was Unamaru, Unamaru's sister. Urumuru. She wanted to spread her cultivation so that tens of thousands of contestants could find her instantly. But at this moment, the gem on her wrist suddenly flashed. "Why are you in such a hurry? I will find him for you when you get the Buddha treasure." A voice appeared in Feng Zhu's mind. It was Unamaru. With his cultivation, if he wanted to pass on the message, only Unamaru and the 3 elders of the Chunin could find it. But at this moment, the latter's attention would not be paid to Feng Zhu, a small character. The thin old man in the middle had a sharp look in his eyes, but he was the white-clothed elder of the Star Ninja Village. He was about 40 years old, with a bulging forehead and smooth as a mirror. But his hair was completely black, without a single strand of white. His eyes were as sharp as a sword, standing there indifferently, but like a mountain. Gui Guli. The top of the Junin. As the actual controller of the scene, Gui Guli nodded to Unamaru, and then turned his eyes to the square. His face relaxed, he laughed, and said loudly, "I am Gui Guli, as the elder of the Weapon Refining Hall of Xingnan Village. The 2 people beside me are Elder Lian Shu, who works in the Alchemy Hall, and Elder Toastjun, who works in the Sound Village. Weapon Refining Hall and Alchemy Hall, these 2 are secondary. Only the imposing young man in the black star robe is from the Sound Village." This made everyone present gasp. What is the Sound Village? It is a well-known place even in the ninja world. Legend has it that the Sound Village uses curse seals to improve their strength. Its head, of course, is famous. As if noticing the shock of the people present, Toastjun of the Sound Village snorted coldly, and the aura of the top ninja burst out directly, suppressing everyone. In just a moment, Shari felt like he was going to be crushed. This feeling came and went quickly, without causing him any substantial harm. But even so, this move made the entire venue completely quiet. This competition will be hosted by the 3 of us. The genin behind me are all the supervisors of this competition. The voice in Guiguli was not loud, but it contained immortal power, so everyone present listened carefully. There were exactly 300 disciples of the Star Ninja Village who supervised the selection. Each person was in charge of 10 stands. For these elite ninja-level disciples, it was a piece of cake. After a pause, Guiguli continued. Today, everyone gathered here to improve their strength. I can also promise you one thing. When you gain your own strength, I will never get involved too much. But after hearing this, Kusuo Hitaki did laugh. The reason why the other party said this is that he clearly does not want to have too much intersection with the selected people. It seems that I have guessed Orochimaru's purpose. Kusuo Hitaki's eyes tightened. Chapter 345. For the next game, we will take everyone to our training ground to see the final result to determine whether everyone can participate in this game. This time, everyone who wants to participate in the game must enter together. There is a barrier around the training ground. All chakras that touch these training grounds will be blocked by the chakra protection barrier outside the training ground. After hearing Guiguli's words, Shari frowned immediately. Shari could clearly feel that Guiguli must have its own plan for doing this. If you want to enter the scene here, you will most likely be discovered by the trap set by the enemy. Master Hitaki Kusuo. Let's continue to perform the previous mission. I think the things here will be easily exposed. But what surprised Shari was that after hearing this, Hitaki Kusuo immediately replied. Don't worry about the previous things. Continue to disguise and lurk here. I naturally have things to do. We will leave after you complete the mission. Shari was stunned at first, but still quickly replied to Hitaki Kusuo. Okay, Master Hitaki Kusuo. Although Shari didn't know what Hitaki Kusuo was going to do at this moment. But as long as it was Hitaki Kusuo's order, Shari would do it according to Hitaki Kusuo's request. Marin, what are you doing here? Everyone had already walked towards the training ground, but Shari was still standing there. No. Nothing diaresis. Shari forced a smile towards Tsunami, and then followed the large team into the training ground. Go in without worry. Leave the barrier to me. After saying this, Kusuo Hitaki stopped contacting Shari. It was just a small barrier, which was nothing to Kusuo Hitaki. Kusuo Hitaki walked to a barrier, took out his knife, and cut it gently. The sharp blade instantly formed a small triangular door in front of Kusuo Hitaki. I want to see who Orochimaru has set his sights on this time. At present, Orochimaru has used the combination of his own impure world reincarnation and puppetry forms a new ninjutsu. Based on this alone, Kusuo Hitaki knows that Orochimaru must have a vicious plan. No matter what, Orochimaru will never be my opponent. Kusuo Hitaki knows very well that if he wants to improve his role-playing ability, it is absolutely impossible to accomplish it with the strength of Orochimaru alone. In the original work, it was Uchiha Obito who was resurrected, Uchiha Madara. If Orochimaru is allowed to resurrect, then Orochimaru has no ability to control the subsequent story. So Kusuo Hitaki knows very well that Orochimaru is not a person who must be eliminated. It's just that for so long, Kusuo Hitaki has not found a suitable reason to eliminate Orochimaru. At this time, there are already many ninjas standing inside and outside the training ground. These ninjas are obviously divided into two factions, one is Tsunami's people, and the other is Guiguli's people. When Shari entered the courtyard, he was almost stopped again. Ma Ren. Jian Maikung was still not too arrogant when he saw Shari. Instead, he nodded to Shari with a humble face. Yeah. Shari glanced at Jian Maikung indifferently, then walked into the practice field. HMPH. When Shari passed by, the flattery on Jian Maikung's face turned into a sinister and vicious look. He stared at Shari with cold eyes, sneered and said to himself, no matter how good you are at fighting, can you withstand shuriken and hidden weapons? Wow. Shari originally thought that there should not be many people, but when he arrived at the courtyard, he saw that more than 100 seats were full. The 100 seats were divided into two halves. On the left side of the Guiguli seat, there were a group of flower-backed big men sitting, who looked fierce and evil, and should be the helmsmen of various halls. Compared to the genin in Guiguli who were obviously not serious people at a glance, on Tsunami's side, there were a group of neatly dressed men sitting. Although these guys look equally difficult to mess with, they are at least well-dressed, less fierce and more civilized. As soon as Shari entered, Kaisek, with a sharp look, hurriedly came to meet him and took Shari to the front row. What? In Guigu, even this little Qian Jiao kid who hasn't even grown all his hair has to be handed over to keep the place in check. Ha 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 ha. The man in the front row on one side of Guigu laughed sarcastically. He was fat and bloated. Sitting in the front row, he looked like a fierce Buddha, exuding a bloody and domineering aura. As soon as this man spoke, all the genin in Guigu laughed. Kasek's face darkened, and he looked at the fat man in the front row fiercely, and was about to speak. Shari raised her hand and gently pressed Kaisek's arm, smiling indifferently. Kaisek took a deep breath, suppressed his anger, and whispered, "This man is called Jirofeng. He is the most powerful general under Guigu. He is ruthless, vicious, and loves beautiful women." Chapter 346. Shari nodded slightly and looked at Jirofeng for a second. "Why are you looking at me?" Jirofeng happened to catch Shari's gaze, and he grinned and sneered, and his fat body trembled slightly. But when Hitaki Kusuo, who followed, saw this familiar face, he frowned immediately. In the original work, his resurrection on the back of his hand is much stronger than before. It seems that Shari is in trouble this time. Hitaki Kusuo knew very well that the strength of the people following Orochimaru was enhanced to varying degrees after being resurrected by the impure world reincarnation. And the strength of the man in front of him is much stronger than when he was alive. Shari looked indifferent, withdrew her gaze in boredom, and sat on the seat led by Kaisek. Many of Tsunami's genin saw Jirofeng's 2 consecutive sarcastic remarks, but Shari did not react. They all looked dissatisfied and looked at Shari's back with contempt. Who is this person? I don't know, I haven't heard of him, but I have never seen Kaisek be so polite to anyone. I heard that he is a master specially invited by the Star Ninja Village to calm the situation. He doesn't look like a master at this age. Don't talk nonsense here, I know this person's name is Marin. He is just an ordinary genin. No way, it's not easy for an ordinary genin to have such momentum. Criticisms were everywhere. But Shari didn't know. The Marin she was pretending to be had actually died in the original fighting match. And his death was just to compensate the star in the village. But what surprised everyone was that the appearance of Kusuo Hitaki this time really overturned the whole plan. After Shari sat down, he saw a strange man sitting next to him, so he took the initiative to greet him. Hello. The man turned his face slightly. His face was as sharp as a knife. His eyebrows were sinister, and there was a creepy murderous aura in his eyes, and there was a slight sneer at the corner of his mouth. Are you the other master that Tsunami mentioned? Shari smiled slightly, not really a master. Humph, just don't get in my way. The man was arrogant, staring at Shari, smiling coldly, and his voice was a little warning. Shari's eyes flashed with golden light, and saw that the man's eyebrows were surrounded by black air. Faintly there is a sign of great misfortune, and he nodded indifferently. Well, don't worry, I will definitely not get in the way. But after hearing this, Shari still looked at Jinami beside him with a little surprise. At this time, Jinami was sticking out her tongue at Shari with a smirk on her face. Why did you deliberately make me look like this? Shari is now very clear that almost everyone in the entire practice field has himself as their biggest enemy. After all, this battle is a suicide battle without level, and only those who remain at the end are qualified to participate in the final. If Shari becomes the target of public criticism now, once the final battle begins, Shari will easily expose his identity. Don't panic first, you just need to find a place to hide after this game starts. When Shari was at a loss, the voice of Hitaki Kusuo suddenly rang in his ears. The noise in the practice field did not last too long. Tsunami and Guiguli arrived almost at the same time. Everyone stood up to greet them. Only Shari sat in his seat, crossing his legs with an indifferent expression. The man sitting next to Shari glared at Shari fiercely, but Shari didn't care. After Tsunami entered, her eyes swept across the whole place, and after meeting the eyes of many genin one by one, she looked at the front row. When he saw Shari and the man he had hired at a high price sitting side by side in the first row, he breathed a long sigh of relief and felt much more at ease. Tsunami, I heard that you overturned a boat in the hands of a hairy boy. Could it be the one in front? Compared to Tsuname, who has a bit more Confucian business spirit, Guiguli looks more like a ninja village boss. As his name suggests, he has a shaved head with a red dragon tattoo on the top of his head, which extends to the collar on the back, and looks extremely creepy, but the most creepy thing is the guy next to Guiguli. It was a hot summer, but he was wearing a black robe and his face was painted with black ash, which was only used by the puppeteer clan. The whole person exuded a gloomy and weird aura, which made people shudder. Guiguli looked at Tsunami teasingly, with a sneer on his face. I have actually heard about you a long time ago. If you are willing to follow me and serve under Lord Orochimaru, I can naturally teach you ninjutsu in person. Using his transparent world, Hitaki Kusuo could naturally hear this sentence. I didn't expect that this Tsunami looked ordinary, but she actually had some strength. Chapter 347. Hitaki Kusuo could feel that Tsunami was very weak at this time. But according to Orochimaru's habit, if he could take a fancy to this girl, it must be because there was something extraordinary about her. Tsunami's face was livid, but she didn't explain much. To be honest, if you are willing to follow me, you don't have to go out and look for other people to be your master. Guiguli saw that he did not provoke Jin-Nami to go crazy, and he was a little bored. He stared at Shari who was sitting in the front row with a sinister look, and a cold smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Just you. Jin-Nami sneered contemptuously, quickened her pace, and left Guiguli behind. Guiguli stared at Jin-Nami's back, his face was gloomy because of being despised by Jin-Nami. He looked sideways at the black-robed man beside him and asked coldly, Are you sure? The black-robed man's voice was hoarse, as harsh and unpleasant as a cat's claw scratching on a steel plate. Don't worry, no one you want to kill will survive. Okay. Guiguli's gloomy face calmed down, grinned with a hint of wild laughter, and quickly followed to the front row. Sanlian. As soon as Tsunami arrived at the front row, she took the initiative to extend her big hand and shook hands with the man next to Shari. Although Sanlian was serious, he still forced a smile to please his customers. Ma Ren. After receiving Sanlian, Tsunami took the initiative to greet Shari. Do you two know each other? Tsunami smiled slightly and asked Shari and Sanlian. Sanlian looked indifferent and responded coldly. Sanlian was hired by Tsunami to do things, not to recognize people. Even if he recognized people. After he glanced at Shari with contempt, the second half of the sentence was very clear even if he didn't say it. Shari looked indifferent as if he didn't hear the hidden meaning. Ha ha ha. Tsunami quickly grinned to ease the embarrassment. At this time, the curtain on the platform had been slowly opened, and the first battle began slowly with the accompaniment. Sanlian, I'm going to get ready. Tsunami reminded. Sanlian sat there, looking calm and said, Tsunami, just go. Shari watched the fight on the opposite platform as if he didn't hear the conversation between the two, killing time. Tsunami glanced at Shari, frowned slightly, although she was unhappy, but didn't say much. Sanlian is a rare master in the village. Tsunami has seen Sanlian cut a steel stick thicker than a finger with an unopened long sword. He is a real master. With such a master in charge, Shari has no place to use his skills. According to Caesar, Shari's leg skills are indeed very strong, but it is still within the common sense of ordinary people. He is just a guy who can fight. And after this conversation, Tsunami now knew that she had gotten into trouble. If she and Marin got too close, they would definitely be discovered by Orochimaru's people. But Shari didn't know these things. On the contrary, Tsunami's indifference to him made Shari feel a little comfortable. Tsunami took a long breath, stood up and walked to one of the two seats in the middle and front row, and Guiguli sat in the other seat. The bosses of both sides sat down, and the atmosphere in the venue suddenly became tense. The sound of the ninjas singing softly on the platform became the only sound that could be heard in the entire courtyard. Zero, please give flowers. Shari didn't have the mood and patience to sit down and watch the game before. But today, Shari is carrying out the mission of Hitaki Kusuo after all. Shari needs to watch everyone's game carefully. This is the only way to get through this game. At this time, two female ninjas are fighting on the stage. Good. Such a beauty attracted cheers from the ninjas of both sides. Just when the ninjas on the stage were concentrating on the battle, Guiguli and Tsunami, who were negotiating, suddenly fell out. Slap. First, Tsunami smashed the tea bowl in anger and shouted angrily, Guiguri, don't go too far. Then Guiguli stood up suddenly. With a fierce face, Tsunami, don't be ungrateful. Hula! Exclamation mark. Tsunami's group of ninjas stood up one after another, with fierce faces. Guiguli's ninjas stood up unwillingly and stuck together with Tsunami's ninjas. The atmosphere changed from tense and stalemate to explosive, full of gunpowder. The ninjas who were fighting on the platform were trembling with fear and stopped fighting involuntarily. Now Shari finally understood. It turned out that all these people in the arena were just regarded by Tsunami as representatives of the Star Ninja Village. The current Star Ninja Village has very strong vision, and many ninjas who come here are from very small ninja villages. When they see the ninjas of the Star Ninja Village, they naturally want to curry favor. At that time, Tsunami, who was basically not strong, also had her own place. Guiguli, the village is not mine alone. My brothers from the Star Ninja Village have worked hard for so many years. You want the star fragments just by talking. Why? She. Chapter 348. Tsunami was really angry, like an angry tiger, and her voice was a little rough. Guiguli raised his hand and touched his shiny head, and said with a cold and evil smile, Tsunami, don't think that you are a serious person just because you are wearing a suit and a tie. How many lives are buried under your village, don't you know it in your heart? Besides, if it weren't for me, Guiguli, who helped to clean up the trash under the village over the years, your village could have escaped unscathed, and your village could have developed peacefully to the present. Tsunami's mouth corners slightly pressed, her eyes were fierce, and she glanced at the third company that had already walked up to her. The third company nodded lightly with an indifferent expression, and her eyes suddenly burst into a kind of fascinating sharpness. Guiguli, you forced me. Tsunami narrowed her eyes slightly, and her voice was full of murderous intent. Even Hitaki Kusuo was a little surprised by Tsunami after hearing this. This Tsunami looks like an ordinary person. I didn't expect that my subordinates would have such a strong cohesion. Hitaki Kusuo naturally understood that if they relied on Tsunami's strength, these people would certainly not be convinced. Especially since Tsunami's strength was so weak. Others would not take Tsunami seriously. But Guiguli's strength was different. At this moment, Guiguli had reached the strength of a Jonin. It seems that we really can't underestimate the power of a child. Even Hitaki Kusuo was a little surprised at his own judgment. It was surprising that there would be such a big mistake. Guiguli sneered and hadn't spoken yet. Suddenly, a roar sounded in the courtyard, and a short sword as long as his arm slipped out of Sanlian's sleeves, approaching Guiguli as fast as a shadow. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. Before Guiguli could react, Sanlian had already approached him. The murderous intent was overwhelming, and the sword light was shining. He was indeed a kendo master. His moves were extremely fast, and when the internal energy in his body was transferred to the sword body, the blade of the short sword kept humming, which was creepy. Ah! Guiguli was so scared that his face turned pale, and he hurriedly took out the shuriken from his waist, but he was too fast to make it. Just as the sword was about to pierce Guiguli's heart, Jirofeng, who was as fat as a pig standing next to Guiguli, roared. His eyes instantly red, he grabbed the back of Guiguli's collar and pulled him hard behind him. Guiguli flew backwards and staggered to the ground, but he avoided the fatal sword. Snap! After the first attack failed, Sanlian followed closely and wanted to make another sword. Get out of here! Jirofeng roared, his fat body blocking Guiguli, and took out two machetes from his waist, one in each hand. Relying on his blood and courage, he chopped at Sanlian. Snap! Sanlian sneered contemptuously, tapped his toes lightly, and jumped nearly 2 meters high, just like the light kung fu in the TV series. The toes lightly tapped the shoulders of Jirofeng below him. Sanlian's figure rose again, and then he leapt down towards Guiguli with a sword in one hand. Guiguli hadn't even caught his breath when he saw Sanlian coming to kill him. He was so scared that his face turned pale and he was out of control. He hurriedly took out the shuriken launcher. Bang! Exclamation mark. The shuriken flew out of the barrel, shaking the courtyard. Ah! All the ninjas on the platform were so scared that they squatted on the ground with their heads in their hands, trembling. Snap! Exclamation mark. The shuriken hit Sanlian's shoulder. Sanlian felt pain, frowned slightly, and didn't even groan, still killing towards Guiguli. His bravery not only scared Guiguli to death, but also scared a group of low-level ninjas to retreat in fear zero. For a while, except for Jirofang who had no time to stop him, no one dared to stand in front of Guiguli. Guiguli screamed in fear, "Why don't you attack?" At this time, the black-robed man standing aside laughed sinisterly, took a half-step forward, and formed a strange hand seal with his hands. He stared at Sanlian who was marching forward, his eyes suddenly turned dark, and he shouted like a demon, "Kneel." Sanlian, whose sword had reached Guiguli's neck, suddenly sank in expression, and then, in the surprised eyes of everyone, he knelt on his knees, the dagger fell out of his hand, and blood splashed from his mouth. Ah! An invisible force pressed down on Sanlian's neck, making it difficult for him to breathe. Puppet Master. He looked horrified, raised his eyes and looked at the black-robed man in horror, blood overflowing from the corner of his mouth. As a village ninja, although he was not qualified to contact the 5 major countries, he knew a little about their methods. Without any external injuries, he was limp and his internal organs were injured. It must be the puppet master who did it. The dark color in the eyes of the black-robed man gradually faded and returned to normal. Guiguli hurriedly got up from the ground, and kicked Sanlian away from him in shock and anger. The situation was beyond Tsunami's expectations. She thought that with a martial arts master like Sanlian, Guiguli would definitely die, but she didn't expect such a mistake. And Sanlian's defeat was confusing, and Tsunami felt even more puzzled. How could a sinister black-robed man across from her just say one word and cause the unstoppable Sanlian to be defeated? Chapter 349. Come and Die. Before Tsunami could react, Jirobo, whose eyes were full of bloodshot, rushed towards Tsunami with 2 swords in his hands. Kaisek, who had been waiting on the side, also had a murderous look on his face. He took out his brass knuckles and put them on, and walked towards Jirobo. Snap! The sound of shuriken rang out again. Kasek was hit by a shuriken in the back of his shoulder, and he knelt on one knee in pain. Tsunami turned around and saw that the one who fired the shuriken was actually her right-hand man Kenmi Cheng. Kenmi Cheng. Kasek roared with a ferocious look on his face. Tsunami asked angrily with a ferocious face, Why did you betray me? I have treated you well these years, right? Jian Maikung looked teasing, with a vengeful smile on his face. He pointed his shuriken at Tsunami and sneered, treating me well. For a strange brat in 06, your father didn't even give me a bit of face. I have been with your father for 3 or 4 years, but I am worse than a little dog. Jian Maikung glared at Shari, who was still sitting in his original position, as if he was stunned. Tsunami's face was cold, veins on her forehead burst, and her big hands clenched into fists. But Tsunami's strength was very weak, just the strength of a genin. You should take care of yourself. Jirofang had already rushed to Tsunami with 2 swords in his hands, and without saying a word, he chopped her head with 1 sword. Tsunami had also lived through the days of licking blood on the tip of a knife. Although she had not taken action for many years, her reaction awareness was not lost at all. He rolled on the ground, dodged a knife in a panic, and pulled out a shuriken from his waist, wanting to attack Tsunami. Hitaki Kusuo was a little surprised when he saw Tsunami's reaction speed. Although this girl looked very weak and her attack strength was not very strong. The reaction speed she used was enough to make Tsunami fearless of opponents in her future life. But before the trigger was pulled, Tsunami suddenly felt a sudden pain in her heart, and her internal organs seemed to be stirred by the tip of a knife, which was unbearable. Wow! He vomited blood, and when he looked up, he happened to see the man in black robe looking at him with dark eyes. No matter how hard Tsunami was to believe, she understood that the abnormal situation she was experiencing at this time was closely related to the man in black robe. It was like, I felt like I was cursed. A group of Tsunami's genin saw Sanlian and Tsunami appear one after another, and they were all frightened by this invisible deterrence and trembled, and stepped back one after another. After Sanlian and Kaisik failed one after another, and with Jian Maikung's betrayal, Tsunami knew that the situation was over, and her face was ashen and her eyes were desperate. If you don't want to die, squat down obediently. When Jirobo saw that Tsunami had lost the ability to move, he did not continue to chase her, but raised his knife with one hand, pointed at a group of Tsunami's genin and scolded her coldly. Hula. The first to betray were naturally a group of brothers led by Jian Maikung, and then the remaining Tsunami genin looked around at their companions and squatted down with a look of despair. Ha 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 ha, Tsunami, didn't expect it. Gui Guli walked in front of Tsunami with a wild laugh. What kind of sinister means did you use? Tsunami couldn't believe there are such things as curses in this world. Gui Guli looked at Jin Nami with disdain, bent down and grinned. Jin Nami, with your current vision, you and your father are not worthy of being enemies with me, Gui Guli. That is the black-clothed puppeteer I specially invited from the Sand Village. You haven't heard of him, right? You haven't heard of him. Puppet Master. Jin Nami's father was horrified. Sorry, you probably won't have a chance to learn about it in the future. Gui Guli pointed the shuriken launcher at Jin Nami's father's head and grinned coldly. Huh. Soon Nami's father, who felt that he was cornered, stared at Gui Guli angrily and roared. Gui Guli, I won't let you go even if I become a ghost. Well, go be a ghost, your precious daughter, I will definitely take good care of you. Gui Guli stretched out his scarlet tongue, licked the corner of his mouth, and sneered. Fuck you. Soon Nami wanted to struggle to get up. Gui Guli smiled sinisterly and slowly pulled the trigger. Bang. The shuriken came out. But someone was one step faster than the shuriken. He raised his big foot and kicked Tsunami several meters away, just avoiding the shuriken. Huh. The whole audience was in an uproar, and all eyes were focused on the person who made the move. Is it him? Beidou and Shinkong, who were also paying attention to the development of the incident on the platform, opened their beautiful eyes wide and stared at the person who gathered everyone's attention in disbelief. In Pei, the team's senior brother who wanted to take action against Sha Ri before, was even more stunned, but after he reacted, he grinned. In the dispute between the ninja villages, a young boy like him is just going to die. Huh. Gui Guli also looked at Sha Ri who suddenly appeared in front of him with a sinister look, his eyes were fierce with murderous intent. Sorry, I have to save his life. Facing Gui Guli's murderous gaze, Sha Ri was not worried, but looked calm. Chapter 350. Sha Ri's eyes were as calm as an ancient well, and her hands were in her pockets. She looked so carefree that she could make people angry. Even Hitaki Kusuo felt helpless when he saw this. Ma Ren. Tsunami, who had escaped a disaster, saw Ma Ren take action, and she had a little hope in her heart that she thought was unrealistic. The whole audience was slightly quiet. Hitaki Kusuo, who saw this scene from a distance, suddenly understood. It seems that the new recruits under Orochimaru did not intend to let this game go on quietly. Sha Ri, you should be more careful with these people. After hearing Hitaki Kusuo's advice, Sha Ri nodded immediately. It was only now that Sha Ri realized it. It turned out that in the previous village, Tsunami's father was the village chief. Now is not the time to deal with these things. Let's deal with the things in front of us first. Don't act rashly unless it's absolutely necessary. Gui Guli touched his bald head with his big hand, stared at Sha Ri fiercely with his eyes, and a sneer suddenly appeared at the corner of his mouth after a moment. Ha ha ha, Tsunami, you look down on me too much. You use a kid to deal with me. Huh. However, when Hitaki Kusuo heard this, he smiled with contempt. Gui Guli looked at the genin on his left and right, and everyone laughed. Even in Pei, who was holding his head with both hands on the stage, looked at Sha Ri, who was trying to stop a car with his arms, with a sneer. You really want to die. You are rushing to die in the fight between the ninja villages. It's best to be killed by a shuriken. On the contrary, Beidou, who was also on the stage, showed a trace of sympathy on his pretty face when he saw Shari facing Guiguli's men alone. Shinkong saw Beidou's soft heart and whispered to comfort him, Beidou, you don't have to feel sad for this scum. How old is he now and he is working with the ninja village? He is definitely a social scum. Even if he doesn't die now, he may die somewhere in the future. After that, Shinkong cursed with a sense of relief. Scum should be dealt with by scum. As the stage was quietly discussing, the laughter from the audience gradually subsided. Tsunami looked desperate. Although she had a little expectation for Marin in her heart, her reason told her that there was no hope of turning the situation around in the current situation. Boy, kneel down for me now, and I will leave you a whole body. Guiguli laughed grimly, staring at Shari with his eyes like a wolf, and spoke arrogantly. Before Shari could answer, Jian Maikung rushed to him holding a shuriken launcher and reminded him, Captain, this guy is not simple, his close combat skills are amazing, even if I and Kaisik are combined, we are not his opponent. Jian Maikung, you traitor. Kasik, who had a shuriken on his shoulder, roared with bloodshot eyes. Oh. After hearing Jian Maikung's words, Guiguli indeed took a few steps back cautiously. The 3 consecutive sword strikes just now really scared him. It's over. Tsunami looked even more desperate. She thought that Shari could take advantage of Guiguli's arrogance and carelessness and launch a fatal attack in an instant. He might still have a chance to escape. But now, because of the traitor Jian Maikung's reminder, Guiguli has become alert, and it may not be so easy to succeed again. When he thought that after his death, the village would be taken over by Guiguli, and even his precious daughter would be threatened, he felt like a knife in his heart. Even Kesik was filled with despair at this time. Shari's appearance and combat power were completely inversely proportional, so he could achieve the effect of surprise. How could they achieve a surprise victory after Jian Maikung, the traitor, informed them? As for Sanlian, there is no need to mention it. As a kendo warrior, he has been fighting with martial artists for many years. Life and death are commonplace. He will not pin his hope of survival on others, let alone a high school student who looks like he has not even grown all his hair. Just him. Guiguli took a step back, but Jirofeng looked contemptuous. His fat face was curled, his face was ferocious like a wolf, his eyes were fixed on Shari, and he held 2 machetes and chopped at Shari's back. Be careful. Kesik kept an eye on Shari's situation. Seeing Jirofeng's sudden attack, he shouted to remind her. Tsunami was also sweating profusely, and her heart was tense as if it was held tightly by a pair of big hands. Sanlian glanced at Shari indifferently and then retracted his gaze, as if Qian Nuo had already determined that Shari would die. Enpei on the stage opened his eyes wide with excitement, and his breathing was rapid. The starry sky was almost the same as Enpei, and they were all eager to see Shari bleed. Only Beidou couldn't help but frown slightly and screamed. The sky was sunny. The blade shone brightly under the reflection of the scorching sun. Swish. When the knife was chopped down, you could even hear the clear sound of the blade breaking through the wind. Shari's face was indifferent, and he even yawned sleepily, and took a slight step forward. The sharp blade lightly brushed against Shari's clothes on his back. Although it was very dangerous, it did not hurt Shari's hair.